Welcome to the Sharpe Club. Yes, it is a little bit past 9 p.m. on the East Coast. You're going 9 p.m., Larry. You're the guy who does 7 p.m. That's true, but not Mondays. Mondays, it's special. It's the Sharpe Club, and it is 9 p.m. And I have with me today, I want to chat about what I think a lot of people are talking about, which is libertarianism on the rise or on the decline? Is it going up or is it going down? I'm bringing in with me today, if I could, a former gubernatorial candidate, a former senatorial candidate, a former prison chaplain, and now the current COO of Poodle Coin, Poodl Coin, my friend, the man himself, Ricky Harrington Jr. How are you, sir?
Too blessed to be stressed.
Ooh, I love that. Too blessed to be stressed. We are rocking and rolling. Also with me, the author of, if I get the book right, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. I would agree. On the death and rebirth of comedy, also a former producer of a Webby Award-winning comedy channel, and he's also doing a lot of his own stuff, just such great stuff. My friend, the man himself, Lou Perez. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Nice to be with you again, Larry, and Ricky. Nice to meet you as well. I'm wondering, are you going to be sermonizing at all since you're former chaplain?
Oh, that's all the time.
Absolutely. Yes, I know, Ricky. Yes, that is absolutely true. Expect that. Yes. Be prepared to bow your head is all I'm saying. Be prepared. It will happen. So, yes. We're supposed to have Kaleena George tonight. She has not shown up yet. I hope she will come this evening. If not, it is what it is. We will hope that she will come. But the thing that I wanted to bring up with you guys is there has been a change in these last couple of at least months, I think years, to where I feel like the duopoly or the left and right, the two major parties, they're scared or something's up or people are upset. Things are happening. The fight and the battles that we've gone through, Ricky, you and I, these last couple of years, oh my God, the amount of money and energy and time and lawsuits thrown at us has been worse than I think in a long time. Does that mean we're winning or does that mean we're losing?
I think it means that we are gaining some ground, especially whenever you see some of the major party candidates co-op some of the Libertarian candidates' platform.
Yes, absolutely.
During the first debate we had in April during the gubernatorial election cycle, I put it out there about the grocery tax. And both Democrats and Republicans, we need to work on that. And also in Arkansas, I'm starting to see some Liberty Democrats starting to sprout up.
Yes. There's actually a Democratic Freedom Caucus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That exists now. You go back a couple years ago, there was only the Republican Liberty Caucus. Now there's Democratic Freedom Caucus. Right? So even that's happened. I agree. If you look at what happened with my race at the end, during my entire race, I spoke about three things. I said there was three reasons that people are going to stay in New York State: affordability, opportunity, and safety. That's what I talked about. It's on my website. I spoke about it on my website, the whole deal. Then Kathy Hochul, literally on her inaugural address, used my three pieces. She used my talking points in her inaugural address. I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe it. And hold on, Sam saw it. Sam puts it up. Sam says, I love when Kathy Hochul stole Larry's campaign rhetoric and put it into her acceptance speech. Yes, she literally used I'm like, her people are watching my stuff. So I feel like we are moving the needle. I just wonder how much. I don't know. Look, you're a bit neutral on this one, Lou. You haven't run for office yet. You haven't run for office. So, what are you seeing?
Well, right now we have what? We have how many UFOs have been shot down? And then
yes.
We got, I don't know what's happening in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And, with all the crazy stuff going on, if there isn't a time for libertarians to really step up and people to say, like, look, it might be the end of the world. Let's just try it out. Let's just
Ooh, I like that. It's the end of the world. What the hell?
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I mean, how wild would that be if like the UFO, we make contact and they're all like, they're all ANCAPs. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting if a bunch of aliens come.
I like it. That's awesome. I love that. Ricky, you got a fan here though. Hold on. Sasha says, Ricky converted me. I have been a libertarian socialist all my life and never knew until I met you. Mad respect. Look at that. You got fans. Look at you, Ricky. You got fans. I love it. That's great.
Appreciate that.
Hold on. I think we got Kaleena. Let me see if I can grab her. I don't have a camera though. Can you hear us?
Yes. I don't know why my camera's not working. It says everyone can see and hear me. Can you see me?
We can just hear. All I see is you're like just a black box. Can you is your camera using something else right now? Can you get your camera?
Let me.
It's probably using something else right now. So, all right, hold on. Joe says, you put it online, Larry. She's going to steal it and not give you credit for it. Full Hochul. That's true. That literally happened. She took all the credit for it and then just didn't give me nothing. That's absolutely true. Didn't work at all. So what are you going to do? So I don't know, Ricky, with what you talked about, do you think it was just lip service, or do you think they're going to actually come up with some plans that will move towards what you're talking about?
Some of the big policy hangups with the Democrats are obviously, issues about guns.
Yep.
One person said, they talk about, libertarians are Republicans that like to smoke weed, or libertarians are Democrats who like guns.
Right.
I guess I'm that Democrat who likes guns then.
Okay. I don't know which one I am. I live in New York City. I can't own a gun and I don't smoke weed. So I'm like nothing. I'm really in trouble now. So anyway, let me introduce our newest member who popped in. Kaleena George, so good to see you. You are that Liberty chick, right? Yeah. And you also a fitness guru and a former Libertarian candidate. Is that right?
No, I never actually ended up running. I was exploring running for office. Last year, but I never did. So sorry that I'm late. Apparently, I used to actually live on the East Coast, and apparently I still don't know what Eastern time is. So I was thinking I had another hour. I'm on Central time, and my friend started texting me, and I was like, wait, oh my gosh.
Well, no worries. We probably still would have been here. So you probably could have just stepped in at that point. It's fine. So just so you know what we missed, Kaleena, but we talked about the idea of the changes that's been happening in these last couple of months and years. Yeah. And do we think that libertarianism is on the rise or on the decline? And you're relatively new to libertarianism. Is that right?
I mean, I've been a libertarian since 2020. So yeah, relatively new. Been about maybe 2.5 years in the movement. I do think that it's on the rise, and I've talked about this quite a bit. Like, I think if we package it correctly, that it is definitely on the rise. Like, I was actually just talking to a friend today, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here or not, but she was basically saying, she doesn't like the Republicans. She doesn't like the Democrats. She wants somebody that's uninvolved entirely. And I even asked her, I'm like, okay, you don't like Trump. Would you vote for DeSantis? And she said no, because he's also been, in politics for a long time. Like, I want somebody new. And I was like, okay, so this is something to work with. Like, this is a person who votes Democrat. There's lots of them that would not jump ship to vote Republican, but would vote third party. They might, with the right.
I saw that in New York when I was running in 2018, especially 2022 too, but especially 2018. Like New York State, for those of you who don't know, hugely blue state. I mean, we're 2-1, almost 3-1 Democrat Republican. There's 6.5 million registered Democrats in New York State, and only about 2.8 million registered Republicans. There's more non-registered, over 3.5 million non-registered, non-party affiliated registered voters in New York State. And what I found is Democrats do not want to vote for Republicans. Yeah. Republicans do not want to vote for Democrats. But you're right, Kaleena, they will vote for a third party. Yeah. I think that's why Yang jumped up and started forward, because I think he thought we can just be the guys that, everyone will just vote for because whatevs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to actually have any principles. Like,
Correct,
yeah, we
that's
could go
true.
either way. Like, yeah, we could do this. We could do that.
That's
shout
true.
out to Kaleena. I'm actually, I am broadcasting from my wife's home studio. So we got my wife does bar and Pilates, so we got a bar right there, and then this a reformer. I don't know if you guys know about that, or if anybody's hip to the Pilates, but I'm trying to bridge the Pilates group and the Libertarians, bring them all together. I think that might be the future.
Yes.
So the question I have for you now, though, Lou, are you wearing yoga pants?
No, I have a few more pounds to go before I am able to slip into my Lululemons. Right now, they're Lululemon LOU lemons, so there's some knockoffs. But we'll get there, Larry.
Love it.
That's what I want to hear. Dave Davis says there was a Democratic Freedom Caucus and Jeffersonian Democrats in the 1990s. The new DFC website seems to have upped their game. I agree that there is to your point, Kaleena, there is a piece, and Ricky, to your point too, there's a chunk of the Democratic Party that is just tired of Democrats, but just have been brainwashed to believe I cannot vote for Republicans because they're evil. So they're like trying to find an answer. I hope it could be us. I don't know. Ricky, what are you seeing that in ours? Are you seeing Democrats come our way or no?
This is the issue that I see, especially when talking to people. It's just the stigma that surrounds the party. And I don't know whether it's, sometimes you say things to shock people, but they might get so caught up on the shock that they miss the point that you're trying to make to them. And, everybody talks about this person's a viable candidate or a viable party. What the heck does that even mean? I mean, really, the viability of anybody is dependent upon how many voters vote for that person.
Yep.
But I understand what they mean by viability. Do I see you on TV every day? Do I know your name? How much money you got in the bank? Because the media always talks about that. Money in the bank. Of course, they're going to talk about that because, that money can go to them so they can put those commercials.
That's exactly right.
And all that other stuff. It's just the cycle that we have in our politics. As I said last time we spoke to one another, it's extremely superficial.
Yes.
It's just, basic corporate marketing in our political sphere. And that is very bad because we are not seeing the truth. We are seeing what they want us to see. And
the issue you bring up is, right, if you say you're independent, that actually sounds better to some people than saying you're libertarian. Right? Sometimes people prefer to hear the word independent because libertarian, what I hear often is if you're on the right and you hear libertarian, I've literally heard people tell me this, you can't spell libertarian without liberal. And I'm like, that's not really true, but that's okay. That's what they actually said to me. So libertarian, you must be like a liberal. They think that. Or if you're from the left, they think libertarian, you're further right than Republicans, right? You're the most right of all the right, basically. They believe that. They think we're like pro-government or something or pro-corporations or something. They go down that road. Kaleena, tell me, what are you hearing when you libertarian? Do they go yay? Do they go, what do they do?
Well, so one thing, and I want to talk to you about how you said viable candidate, and I'll talk about that in a second. But so one thing, I like to do a lot of Twitter polls. Initially, before like everyone started blocking me, some of them were getting a lot of traction. And one of them was, it was like a fill in the blank. What's holding libertarianism back? And one of the most popular answers of like when people do like quote tweets of it was libertarians. So I think that there is definitely a stigma around the party. And I think it has a lot to do with, like you said, the shock factor. Like the shock factor kind of holds people back. Also, the viable candidates, like a lot of people want to see a candidate that they can trust. And I use this example in a live stream I did the other day. I used to work in the hospital. I used to perform invasive procedures on people in the ICU. If I come in and I don't look like someone they can trust, if I look like I'm unprofessional, I'm not dressed right, maybe all my tattoos are showing, not saying that that's a problem, but some of those things to certain people are going to be a red flag. Is like, can I trust this person with my life? They're about to put a needle into the largest vein in my neck. It's right next to my artery. Do I trust this person? And sometimes there's just optics involved in making that person feel comfortable. And the same thing is true with voters. There are optics that, as much as we don't like them and we're like, well, that doesn't matter, that has nothing to do with policy. Well, they don't know you, and they're going to see the optics and they're going to say, I can't vote for this person. I don't like the way they talk. They're too edgy. Like, they're not acting professional. Like, I don't feel comfortable. I can't put my life, which basically the country is their life, into that person's hand. So I think that we have to think about that a little bit more. The shock stuff is fun, but there has to be like a really good balance to like offset that.
I think, Larry, can I just respond to that? Because I hear that a lot. When it comes down to rhetoric and that sort of thing, or shocking rhetoric, and I feel like it's a trap that a lot of people just fall into, because what I find more shocking is the past 2+ years where governments were able to lock down cities, close down businesses, where kids, parents had no option when it came to where they were sending their kids to school. Every single week it was are the schools going to be open? Are they going to be are they going to be virtual classes? What's going on here? Where you had a lot of back the blue people, watching police, arrest people for not wearing masks and that thing, right? So I think it's really important, and I'll come out and say I'm a part of the Mises caucus, and one of the reasons why I joined the Mises caucus in particular, it was because I wanted some people who were willing to call out the bullshit and use any rhetoric possible,
by all means necessary.
Exactly. Any rhetoric necessary. Rhetoric here, to really shine a light on what's going on. And me, I mean, I work with language. I work with jokes and commentary and that sort of thing. So I think it's so important, whatever is shining a light on what's wrong and what's going on is really important.
I want to cover 3 pieces of that. That's a tough spot you brought up. The first one is, I would agree that you want to shine a light on the bad thing. Sadly, though, we often shoot the messenger. So I might have shined the light on the bad thing, but I also might have got myself shot while I was doing it. So am I sacrificing myself to shine the light on the right thing? And maybe I should. I'm not necessarily against that. Maybe it's the right thing. Perhaps I should martyr myself. Maybe it's the right answer. But at the same point, while I would say that would be challenging, what I found when I did it and when I didn't do it is being sometimes, I guess, acceptable. Is maybe a good word for you, Kaleena. You were talking about like being acceptable. Yes, that's wonderful. But in politics, then they ignore you. And then when it comes to the ballot box, they go right back to their old ways. Right. So when it comes to the ballot box, now there's a difference, right? The Liberty Movement and the Libertarian Party are 2 separate things in my view, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do in the movement that has nothing to do with the party. The movement can survive without the party, but I think the movement's much stronger with the party. The party can't survive without the movement. Without the movement, there is no party. So, but I am all in on the party. We know this. I'm in the party. That's who I am. I'm in the party. So I'm worried about ballot box. That's what I'm concerned with in my movement is the ballot box. The ballot box, I need people to not say, I like Larry Sharpe, but, Democrats, Republicans, that's not helpful for me. I need someone who's going to show up and go, I'm voting for Larry Sharpe. I don't give a damn. I need that person to do it. And part of that hardcore rhetoric you talk about, Lou, does move some of those people because they have to, they got to commit or not, right? They got to go, you know what? He was harsh, but I don't care. I got to commit. So I see both sides of this story. And sometimes if you're not, in a case of someone like me, when I ran, and Ricky, I think you would agree, you ran also. There's a point to where it's not a 100% rule, but it's a good 80% rule. Any coverage is better than none. And what happened to me is when I started doing well in 2018, the Republicans were scared of me and did nasty hit pieces on me. I mean, just blatant, just made stuff up, literally. Larry Sharpe's he's anti-cop, even though my father was in law enforcement. Larry Sharpe's anti-gun. I'm the only one who supports the Second Amendment. I was a Cuomo plant being paid by Cuomo. That was literally what they said in 2018. And this was in newspapers, right? This wasn't like just somebody saying, it was in newspapers. This came out. But you know what? My polling didn't go down. Because while some people said, oh, that's an excuse, I never liked Larry anyway, good, he's terrible. Other people said, who the hell's Larry Sharpe? They didn't know who I was. So they looked me up and said, oh, I like this guy. So in the long run, even the bad press, which was terrible personal attacks upon me, still did well for me. I'm sorry, I went long, Lou, but I just want to kind of cover all those things.
You can definitely turn those attacks into a positive. That's the one thing that we have to understand is this is politics. You got to play politics. Yeah. Sometimes it's dirty. Sometimes you use the carrot. Sometimes you use the stick. I guess this was Winston Churchill, and I know exactly, his history, but I think this is his quote, real diplomacy is telling somebody to go to hell and have them looking forward to the trip. We have to learn how to be strategic in our communication. The goal is to win people over to our movement. Sometimes you win people over with the, in your face type of rhetoric. Sometimes you don't. So it's not a one way or the other. What we have to do is be strategic and know who we are talking to, so we'll know what tool to use.
Absolutely.
It's about people raising. We're trying to win people.
Yes. I say it all the time, I'm in New York City. I've got to be able to talk to the left, or I can't get anywhere near talking to winning an election, right? My state is a deep blue state. If I can't talk to the left, I can't come anywhere near winning an election. I have to be able to get the left to go, okay, fine. And my second piece is I've got to get people who aren't going to vote to start to vote. Because here's the issue. For every Republican and Democrat, for every two that show up saying they're going to vote for Larry Sharpe, only one does. Right? So if I get 10,000 people who are Democrats or Republicans who show up at that polling booth, the voting booth, that say they're going to vote for Larry Sharpe, only 5,000 will actually vote for me. The other 5 will go back to their old ways. However, someone who wasn't going to vote or independent, if I get them off the couch into the voting booth, they vote for me. Otherwise, they just stay home and play video games. Yeah. Right? So if I get that person off the couch, that's my vote. But people who are normally engaged as Democrats, Republicans, only about half of those that say they will are going to actually vote for me.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that, although I am in my personal life very right-leaning, I do think that is one issue. No offense to the Mises Caucus, I know I have so many issues with them, but I know they are a powerful movement, and I like personally a lot of the things that they say, even if we have our differences, as far as Twitter and stuff. Their platform-wise, I actually really liked it, but I will say that a lot of the things are very appealing to the right. And I've noticed a lot of people in the movement really alienating anyone who was more of a left-leaning libertarian. So when people are calling out sex workers or not that people really talk against drugs, but it's a whole lot more of the right-leaning issues are getting the focus. Well, we have a big part of our demographic, and a big part of the demographic that we need is the ones that fall in the category of those more left-leaning social issues. And I think that we do ourselves a huge disservice by not, accepting that is part of libertarianism. We don't have to, your personal feelings about being a conservative, socially conservative person don't have to bleed over into the movement when we know we accept all of those things as part of, being libertarian.
Yeah, what I think I'm in sort of an odd place where I still feel kind of outside of the movement, because when I think the saying is that war is the health of the state. I think warring libertarians is the health of the state. So oftentimes, like, I'll go on Twitter and I'll see 2 or more libertarians who I really like and I get along with and I like so much at each other, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to. Don't make me. I'm not going to choose between you two because I like you all, because I like you very much. So I think I might just be a little different in that. Like, I'm not necessarily picking sides, even though I'm LP in Mises caucus. Now. But something that I have to that I have come to grips with, and like Larry and Ricky have run for office. I've never done that before. So
because you're not crazy. You're not crazy.
I'm not crazy, but also like, when it comes to, activism and that sort of thing, I admit, I might not be the best person to sell liberty. Like,
yes, there we go.
People might check out Lou Perez or look at my, my body of work and be like, that guy's fucking awful. I don't want to be associated with him. So I think, like, on a personal level, and I think a lot of libertarians are coming at this as an individual level. It's like the best that I can do is to live out the principles of liberty,
sure,
as I say, and to help where I can, and to spread the message, where I can, and hopefully, people might be able to see beyond the the shallow stuff into the really deeper, the real. The deep stuff that I think being absolutely minded is.
So with that in mind, let me ask the people who are watching and listening, if you happen to be watching this on Twitter, do me a favor, retweet this right now. If you're watching this on Twitter right now, retweet it right now. Just click that retweet button, retweet it, let people know you're watching it. Good show. You know it's a good show or you wouldn't be watching it, so stop pretending. So please just retweet it. It does matter. If you're not on Twitter, or even if you are, click that like button. We have to get past those algorithms all the time. They always beat us up. They always try to block us. They always try to cut us out. So click that like button if you would right now. It will help tremendously. And do me one more small favor, and that is follow these 3 people who showed up tonight. Follow them all on Twitter. Please head over to Rick D. Harrington on Twitter, the Lou Perez on Twitter, and that THT Liberty Chick on Twitter. Please follow them, see what they're doing. Ricky's doing cool stuff. Lou's doing cool stuff. Kaleena's doing cool stuff. Please check them out. Follow them. They took their time to come here. I appreciate it. Please follow them if you would. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ricky. You want to talk?
Oh, yes. Chiming in what Mr. Perez said, in Arkansas, we had Mrs. Caucus people, Prags. I myself am a libertarian socialist. Voluntary. It's all voluntary.
Yep.
That's some of the main principles about libertarianism. But the main thing is just keeping our eyes focused on the goal. And the folks that were Mrs. Caucus in Arkansas, I love them. They my people. We on the front lines of one another trying to move the liberty movement forward.
We're all in the same dirt. We all in the same dirt. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Is that Crypto Queen? Says, converted by Ricky. I'm a libertarian socialist. Look at that. Love that. Ed says, I know the left and right been focusing on attacking each other, which they've been focusing on their identity politics a lot. This is a key point. The left and the right have been fighting so much. I think some people are getting turned off by that and looking for something else. To your point, Lou, I think libertarians are so accustomed to fighting each other and elections, right? We're a libertarian party, 50 years of winning arguments and losing elections. And so we're good at arguing. So we keep arguing, but we shouldn't be arguing as much. We argue over things sometimes that drive me crazy. It's like we agree on 99.9%, but there's this one thing that, oh my God. And now I'm going to act like you're the worst human being on the planet because you disagree with the one thing. Now, it doesn't mean we should just be quiet about it, maybe, but it just drives me crazy. The one piece I'll bring up here is when I'm supporting other candidates, and many of you have seen me very often support other candidates, I don't always agree with all their platforms. I don't have to. I don't live in their areas. I don't know what the right platform is for their local race. Maybe what works where I live in Queens is not going to work where someone lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Maybe it's different. I don't know. So why would I want to go in there and try to tell them what's right anyway, number one? But number two, It's not about me, it's about them. When you're supporting somebody else, if any of you watched me, I was very active in Gary Johnson's campaign in 2016. I stood in for him in the press, I stood in for him in debate stages, and I started almost every sentence with this. The governor has been very clear. Gary Johnson told me this last week. Governor Johnson said this. I wasn't about my personal opinion. It didn't matter what I thought. I was representing Gary Johnson. So even if I disagreed with what he was saying, it didn't matter. I wasn't saying my opinion. I was saying that person's opinion because I'm supporting them, because I think they are better than whatever else is out there running. I wish more of us were prepared to kind of put our own ego down when we're not running and support somebody who actually is out there getting their butt kicked. Okay, maybe not. I was wrong. I'm sorry. We should just we should yell about ourselves and everyone else forget it.
I want to ask Kaleena, because Kaleena, you said like, in 2020, you became a Libertarian, or at least joined the party or something like that. What was the impetus for you? What made you make that leap? Because I think like Larry's been in it for a long time. I've been in it, for a while. What was the turn for you?
I mean, definitely, just like so many other people, the lockdowns, all of the draconian measures. And I think what has been the hardest thing for me is that really was like a 3-year period where I felt like, I got involved. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. We need to bring people over. This is like a moment to capitalize on. And then I started to realize like, we weren't making the headway that I felt like we could have, especially, and that's where I did really appreciate Mises Caucus and some of their platforms because of the health freedom, the strong, like no vaccine mandates. Am I allowed to say that word on here? Or
probably not, but so what?
Sorry. No job mandates, stuff like that. So I think that there was a lot of people just looking for someone to be very, very strong on that. And of course, like even the Republicans weren't, in a lot of ways, they still favored lockdowns. They still gave out, whatever they called it, little bits of money to us during the pandemic, shut us down, did like all kinds of PPE, loans and stuff like that. So they did all those things too, just like the Democrats, went on to do also. And I think there was a lot of people who would have been very attracted to the libertarian movement. But it was like, we just weren't at that point to like gain the traction that I felt like we could have off of that. I think we're at a unique moment right now, and maybe I'm just like going off on a tangent here, but people are also starting to realize like, especially when it comes to lobbying money, with the pharmaceutical industry and all the industries, like basically, and just the way that the country is moving, it almost doesn't matter if you vote for the red one or the blue one anymore. Like they all go in the same direction. And people are starting to wake up to that. So to me, why I get so frustrated is I feel that we have a second moment here before the next presidential election. Also, with any elections happening this year and everything, where we can really show people like red or blue, you're getting the same thing. And we talk about that all the time in Uniparty, but I think it's starting to click with them when they're like realizing the money flows to, the GOP and to the Democratic Party, like from the same entities. And that's why we're ending up with basically the same result. It might take a little longer if you go Republican than it does, it's like fast tracked if you go Democrat. But, it's not really anything any different. And so I think that if we can really show that to people, it's going to be like an aha moment, and that we can really, really start taking action there. So I think that's one thing is that, sorry, I'll go off on one more tangent. One thing is like a lot of people, and we don't always realize this as libertarians, don't really like, they can't necessarily identify with like taxation is theft because they're so into like taxes. They also can't identify with in the Fed because those things seem very like
also true.
Yeah, they're so far out there to the everyday person that's like a Democrat voter or a Republican voter that they're like, what are these people are just talking something over there. Now they might start to understand that if they listen to us talk long enough. But I feel like we have to hit them on their own pain points, like just like any type of marketing where they're seeing like, well, this is what affects my life and I'm not happy and I don't see it getting better if I vote with Democrat or Republican. Another thing we can try to show them is that if you really start to split the vote, then both Democrats and Republicans are going to have to adopt some of the things that we like that are a lot more liberty focused. if they start to feel like, oh, we're going to lose our vote to these other people. And so I feel like that's why, I'm more of a party libertarian than just a movement libertarian. Like, I want to see us get a chunk of vote, because I think that that's the only thing that's going to actually speak to us getting any credibility with people. So.
Well, I mean, you said a lot there. And I think my biggest worry is that when it came to the lockdowns, we didn't do a good enough job saying what we wanted to say in the right way. And we didn't have the infrastructure prepared to take the people in if they wanted to come in. Yes. We really weren't ready for this as a party, right? We were not prepared. And I wish we had done better. And the second piece, though, this part hurt me tremendously. I know many people couldn't even talk about this before. When I started talking about it, I was locked down from social media like that. Yeah. I mean, it was insane. Before I started talking about lockdowns, I would do one video on one platform and get 5,000 views easily. Now I have to, this, by the way, goes out on 8 different platforms, and then I repost it on 10 more. So I literally posted on 18 platforms to get the same that I got from one platform before lockdowns. For me to get the thousands of views that I want now that I get, I have to put this on, not joking, 18 platforms for me to get the same that I got one. That's how bad I've been locked down since that. So when we wanted to get out, the methodology that we used most was social media. They hit us hard. We couldn't get out.
So that's something that I actually explored a lot over on Instagram. Like, I was actually able to grow. I had no Instagram till 2021. And I grew on Instagram through like just very strategic speech. Like I didn't use like the whole V word and stuff like that. I alluded to topics a lot. And I was able to get to like, I'm at like 19,000 followers now on there with good engagement. Nice. There was a couple of times that I messed up knowingly, because, you get a little like cocky. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is going well, I'm gonna speak on this topic, but I was a little too blatant. And so my accounts kind of took a hit. But I think that that's, again, something that I, wanted to share with people. Like, you don't have to just share everything and destroy your account, because then you're reaching nobody. Yes. There are very strategic ways that you can continue. And now with Twitter and everything, it's a lot more open, but there are strategic ways you can continue to share the same message, but like, just like a little bit of, be a little bit careful with your wording and get a lot further. So.
Well, Ricky, you ran last year. Did you find the same problem or no?
I never had to answer any questions for, some of the things that other libertarians had, done or, said anything wild. I never had to answer for that. Just one question. And it was asked during the press conference after the debate. But I don't like throwing people under the bus. I'm not going to throw my compatriots under the bus. People change. My views on things change. People can grow. And sometimes people make changes for political reasons. I was watching this video of President Biden in the early 90s talking about gutting Medicare and Medicaid. Yep. And now it's flipped where the Republicans are talking about gutting Medicare and Medicaid. And I just wish the people of this country would understand and just take a look, just take a break, just stop, empty the cup, take a look at what you're seeing. Is this rational? I understand things, politics change. That's just the nature of culture. Things change. Human beings
there's
change.
Something else that I always bring up, right? One of the most popular libertarian thinkers is Thomas Sowell. And Thomas Sowell used to be a Marxist. I bring this up all the time. It's one of the reasons why I spend my time talking to the left. He was a Marxist. And people say, well, what's wrong are these Marxists crazy? No, he was a Marxist because with the experience that he had and the knowledge that he had, that made the most sense to fix things in his head. He knew stuff was broken. And with the knowledge and the experience that he had, Marxism made sense to him. Then he met Milton Friedman and then worked for the government. And he went, aha, I was wrong. Libertarianism is way better. But it wasn't because he wasn't smart. He needed to have the right experience and the right knowledge. We give people those two things, they'll come our way. But we have to be able to give that to them. Otherwise, they're not coming anywhere. They're just not.
Interestingly, Clarence Thomas, everybody has, varying different opinions on him. And some days I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And some days I'm like, man, what are you talking about? But he was also, during the 60s, during that big, political movement, political upheaval, there was a lot of, Marxist, socialist, Black political movements that originated in the Black community.
Yep.
And so I asked myself, why were most of the political movements that originated in the Black communities socialist or Marxist? Well, there's a whole big history there,
Yes.
Our ancestors used to be considered property.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. Yes. But there's something else happening. Look at Russia, right? You look, I was bringing this up as an example. Russia, 1917. They've been serfs for 300 years. No real, revolution for 300 years. They've been as close to slavery as you can get. Not actual slaves, but basically slaves for 300 years, right? No real movement that knocks everybody out until all of a sudden they get two things. And two things are required for revolution. People always say the same thing. They say, Larry, when's it going to get bad enough for us to have a revolution? It's not about it being bad enough. It's got to be bad enough and there is hope. Those two things must go together. It must be bad and there must be hope. Mm-hmm. Well, here comes Lenin with his communism thing. Yes. And he comes and says, hey guys, look, why don't you become communists? All those people who've been beating you up for 300 years, we get to beat them up. Well, that sounds good. And we get some food on top of it. Hey, and they were like, well, I know what I got now sucks. That I'm sure. And so let's try this communist thing. They were right about the killing of people. The food part, they were lying. But the killing of people, they were right about that. So they went and they tried it. So yes. What's the old saying? Dark humor is like food in communism. Not everybody gets it. So yes. Not everybody gets it. Sorry,
Mr. Perez. I got to ask you: is that joke been used too often?
What's that? What?
I was asking, has that joke been used too frequently?
Oh, I use it all the time.
There we go.
Larry beat me to it. I was about to throw that out. But, just a little thing about Lenin. Like, I've seen pictures, I've seen paintings of that guy. There was no attempt to make him look nice. He is a mean-looking motherfucker. Like this dude, like a mean commie. Like there's not even like a nice, like, oh wow, what a really sweet commie.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. If you look at Mao, they're always trying to make Mao a man of the people and hugging kids and kissing babies. And like they tried to make Mao look a nice guy. You're right. They tried their best to make Mao look like he was hugging babies and petting dogs like every day. Lenin.
They made him chubby too. Like he was, I think that he was probably jacked. And they were like, no. we need you to appeal a little jolly. He was like the Chinese Santa in a way.
That's what he was. Yes. Instead of giving presents, he took them away. Yes. That's right. So he said that, yes. Here we go. Yes, it wasn't a white Christmas. It's a dark Christmas over there in China. I love that. So yes. Let me grab a couple comments if I could real fast, guys. The Scientific Libertarian says, Libertarians hibernate through non-election years, waking up only to go to the bathroom and check memes. Well,
that's a serious burn right there. Serious burn.
Yes. But if you see what I do, right, this is one thing that you've seen me do often. I only run years when I run for governor of New York. I've only done it twice every 4 years. In between, all I do is support candidates, right? It's all I do. I just support candidates in between. Support candidates. When I run, I support myself because I'm running. But when I'm not running, I support the candidates. I think a lot of us should be doing that. The more we support candidates, the better. And look, I know a lot of us don't like certain candidates. Then support the ones you like.
Yeah.
That's all I would say.
And also during those off seasons, we need to be in those legislatures. We need to be finding people to try to sponsor some bills that are liberty-oriented bills.
Yes.
We need to be making connections with lawmakers, making connections with people in our communities that align with our agenda, people that align with criminal justice, people that align with, whatever type of reforms that we have, especially, ending qualified immunity. that's low hanging fruit for us right now. Working on police brutality, we need to start integrating with these groups, even if we don't agree with them on other things. We agree on this, so let's get to work on it. Just get straight to it, and don't
I agree. And look, you brought up a couple things, and so let me talk to the people who are watching. If you're curious on what you really think about things like policing or things like that, you can go over to my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Head on over to theadvocates.org, and you can see they have a bunch of quizzes and surveys you can take. Go over to the single issue survey. There's one on financial policy. Kaleena was all mad about that, and she's right. She should be mad about that, right? Take the monetary policy survey. See how you feel about that. And once you're done, share the results. It makes my sponsors happy. It's free, cost you nothing, cost you a couple of minutes to take a survey. Take the survey, share the results. My sponsors are happy. You're happy. It's free. It keeps the show going. Please do that. There's a policing one also. Take that one, or just take the world's smallest political quiz. Take that, see where you land, and share that to the best of your ability. The most important piece about this, and I'll give you guys this little data I keep bringing up. The saddest part about the world's smallest political quiz, for those of you who've taken it before, it's basically 10 questions, and you'll land somewhere either progressive, you'll land conservative, you'll land moderate, you'll land libertarian, you'll land authoritarianism. Luckily for us in America, the percentage of people who go to authoritarianism is the lowest. It always is the lowest one. The biggest one, believe it or not, is not libertarian, it's moderate. Yeah. Most people come up moderate in that test. The smallest is authoritarianism. Here's the bad news. We've been taking this test and giving this test out for decades. I mean, for decades. It came out in the 70s, so we've been giving it for a long time. Now we are seeing an increase in the percentage of authoritarianism.
Ooh.
And yes, and if you've been watching my Twitter feed when people do it, the people come up authoritarian, it's not a oops moment. They're not like, oh my God. They're like, no, yeah, that's correct. They're like on board. Like they literally put it out there. Yep, that's me. Correct.
Do you think that's because they're so unhappy? Again, like kind of what you referenced earlier, they're so unhappy with how things are. They're like, somebody just needs to take over, which is very scary and dangerous and could happen. Somebody just needs to take over and fix all this, especially places like high crime cities and stuff. Yep. People might be wanting someone to come in and save them and like get tough on crime. That was one thing that I really didn't like about Trump's. He did like an address like a while ago. I think when he was announcing his running, he talked about like, we're going to jail all the drug dealers forever and execute them and stuff. I was like, this is not what people think it is, and people were cheering it. They wanted that because of the fentanyl, because of the social issues and the city crime and stuff. But they're asking for pretty strong authoritarianism there to try to fix that problem, which we know like won't really fix it and will just create new problems. But they're just so desperate for something to make things better.
I think you're 100% correct.
Politics. The revenge politics, that exists, and it's created an environment for a strong man. Usually we find strong man in those third world countries, those despotic, regimes. To think that would happen in the land of the free and home of the brave, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I agree completely. I think you're totally right, Kaleena.
There's a term I've come up with. It's called murder cuck, and what it is,
murder cuck.
What it is, it's men who want other men to murder their enemies for them, and no matter what what kind of enemy that is. So, it could be something like some guy shooting up, in the park. We gotta fucking kill that guy, not me. You gotta kill that guy.
Yeah, you guys, right? I'm not gonna. Right? Yes, that's right.
I'm right here. I'm gonna watch. So yeah, I think Ricky and Kaleena, you guys have.
But there's a worse part to this, though. Here's what winds up happening now. We fool ourselves. What I mean by this is politics is no longer about, okay, I voted and now my life got better or is gonna get better. It's I voted and the other guy lost. So my win is not me winning. It's to Ricky's point, it's revenge. My win is the other guy losing. So as long as, she lost, I won. Okay, but is your life better? No. Is your culture better? No. Is your city better? Is your community better? No. But the other guy lost, so yay. That is really unhealthy, but that's where we are now. And I saw that in New York with There's No Tomorrow. They just wanted to stop the other. But then here's the worst part. I want to stop the other, then the other gets stopped, and then they still leave New York.
Yeah.
So they still leave my state. So they don't vote for change. They just want to stop the other. They stop the other and then pack up and leave. Well, then why'd you bother voting then? I mean, I don't know what are you doing? You should have moved before November and voted in your new place. I don't know what you were thinking. It's terrible.
Taking that outrage straight to the vein.
Yes. Yes. That part drives me crazy. So let me move a little bit further, speaking about revenge and violence and murder. There's a war going on, as we know, in Ukraine. And generally speaking, libertarians are notoriously anti-war. And the funny part about it is, when I was in the Marine Corps, now 35 years ago, almost 40 years ago, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was that same guy. I was the 19-year-old kid who wore the shirt that said, "Kill them all, let God sort them out." I was that kid. I am not that person at all anymore. I'm a total pacifist. I hate us going to war. I don't want us bombing people at all. I can't stand it. I hate it. I don't want any of it happening. I want to service our veterans now that they're back. I want to service our veterans and stop making more combat veterans and make less combat veterans is what I want to do. But I understand the mindset of that. I really do, right? My first commander-in-chief was Ronald Reagan. And I got to say, I tease all the time, but it was true. My life was easier when it was more black and white, right? We were always right, and the other people were bad. And who were those other people? Whoever Ronald Reagan told me they were. That's who the bad guys are. I slept like a baby, like life was good, right? It was easy. It was after the first Gulf War when I started thinking something's wrong. When everybody on the street, here's the key thing that got me. Everybody on the street, I was actually, during the first Gulf War, I was actually stationed in Virginia. I was training reservists and sending them over. I was platoon sergeant in Virginia, sending troops over to not Kuwait, to Saudi Arabia at the time. And people on the street, civilians, were like, "Yeah, we got to get that guy Saddam Hussein. He's Hitler." All the people were saying he's Hitler. And I was like, he's not Hitler, right? Hitler is Hitler. Hitler is Hitler. That's correct. That's who Hitler is. Saddam Hussein was not a good guy, but he wasn't Hitler, right? Yeah. But every civilian was saying, not like Marines, right? It was regular civilians that'd be out and yeah, he's Hitler. We got to get him. He's Hitler. And I was like, this is not right. We're not this is, and that's when I began to, like, the scale fell from my eye. I started to realize maybe this isn't the right thing. So I know I went long on this. I'm sorry, but my point is, there's a war in Ukraine, and I feel like we're not taking advantage of this either. We're failing on this one. Again, I think we didn't do a good job when it came to the lockdowns in grabbing all the people that we should have grabbed. The lockdown should have been a home run for us. It wasn't. I feel like this war we're not taking advantage. I hate saying taking advantage of a war, but we should. In gathering people, the anti-war side we should be all over it, and we're not doing a good job of it. Am I wrong here?
Well, I think,
are they having a rally? Sorry.
No, go for it.
Aren't they having a rally next weekend, like trying to push the anti-war? Do you think that that's not? I mean, I don't personally think rallies are effective, but is that what you're getting at? That's not really hitting the right pain point for people to, like, convert? We're
fighting over it.
Yeah.
We're fighting over it.
Yeah.
Like, why are we fighting? Like, what? I don't know I don't really know details of it, to be forward with you. I will be in California. I can't make it. I'll be in California. However, my point is, in theory, we shouldn't be fighting. This should be a home run for us. We should be doing rallies across the country. There should be like 20 of them a month, right? I mean, in theory, I'm talking all theory. We should be grabbing everybody, and we are not. And look, this is the movement in general. And I'm not pointing the finger at someone else. I'm pointing at me too. I could also be doing more, right? I'm doing other stuff. I should be doing more. We as a movement, this finger pointing is at everybody, right? I'm being clear. Me too, everybody. We're not doing a good job.
At years ago, it was at the tail end of the Obama administration. I made a video for We the Internet TV called "Where Are the Anti-War Protesters?" Right, And it's like a mockumentary sort of Vice style thing, basically pointing out, during the Bush administration, the anti-war protests were all over the place. It was global. They were all over the nation. And then President Obama wins and suddenly they don't, they disappear. And we've been doing a lot of shit during Obama. Where are they? And the joke of it is it turns out that all the anti-war protesters are kind of hiding out in this backyard in Echo Park, Los Angeles, waiting for a Republican to come in. So,
that's what it is. Okay.
Right? And that was the joke. But then what happens is a Republican comes in and the anti-war protest movement is still nowhere to be found. And you start seeing like, wow, there's this bipartisan pro-war thing going on in the country. And something that I do on Twitter all the time, because I see quite a few people get very excited about the artillery and the airplanes and the fighter jets and all that are being delivered to Ukraine. And they get they're all amped up. They're so excited about it. They can't wait to, for the Ukrainians to use these things. And I just ask like, so does that mean we should declare war on Russia? And it's just crickets. And it's like, it's like, where are these constitutionalists, in our government?
Hey, Lou, they're war cucks.
Yeah, the war cucks, exactly. Right there.
See that?
Yeah, they're
so stealing your stuff.
Right. Thank you. I know. Well, it cucks it for everybody.
There we go.
It takes
everywhere.
But at the very least, I would think there would be some uproar about like, hey, this proxy war shit.
Right.
We need to to take a stance. Like, are we going to have Congress declare war or not?
But here's the thing you guys don't realize: how America works. America has a big war. Then we get tired of war. Then we have a couple of proxy wars because we're tired of war. Then we have a small war that we win easily. Then we go back to a big nasty war. That's what we always do. That's how it works, right? Vietnam was Afghanistan. We did Vietnam. I know I got in the Marine Corps right after Vietnam, right? So most of my senior leadership were all Vietnam vets. And it was a peacetime, right? There really wasn't much war when I was in. But we did a couple light ones like Grenada, right? We did little ones, right? Little baby ones, right? We did, can we do a little proxy war in Panama, right? A little bit of that. Then America, after about 20 years, we forgot Vietnam in 20 years. We just forgot Vietnam, right? So then we went back, when we went to the easy war, which was the first Gulf War, then we got ourselves in the quagmire of Iraq and Afghanistan. Do the same thing now. Proxy war in Ukraine. We'll do some light war somewhere like, I don't know, we'll invade, some island somewhere, Fiji, whatever. We'll invade Fiji, beat the Fijians, right? Whatever that is, very easily. Then we'll be ready for a big war again, and we'll get caught in some terrible quagmire again. It's kind of how we do things.
I got a question. Is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? The Republicans are saying that the Democrats are too soft on China, and the Democrats are saying the Republicans are too soft on Russia.
Yes.
Both of those countries are perceived enemies. Does anybody else see a problem with that?
I am with you.
And those parties are just feeding right into that. I mean, they are effectively allowing two foreign countries to engage in the same thing that we've been engaging in for the past 70 years, post-Marshall Plan, Cold War, engaging in the inner workings of foreign sovereign countries. The chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, I am worried about that tremendously. I completely agree with you. I think it's a very tough thing because it's very easy to say the other guy's bad. Think about that over there and forget about what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right. When I look at, obviously, I'm in New York City. I know a lot of people from the left. I talk to the left often. And, socialists will often tell me things like, well, Larry, the government should be paying for everything. Government should pay for healthcare. Government should pay for, my college. Government should pay for all these things. And their point's a valid one. If you got $80 billion to give to Ukraine, then don't give it to Ukraine. Pay off my student loan debt, right? Pay off whatever. And I hate to say it, they're right. I would like neither of those things, obviously, but they have a point. If we're going to drop X billion dollars in wherever, insert country here, whatever that country is, and well, we got the money, don't we? Mm-hmm. Then they're right. Give it to, at least give it to Americans.
So I think I totally agree. And I was going to say the thing about war and getting people on the anti-war bandwagon with us, it's hard because I think a lot of people, like you said, the major wars have been so far removed from their everyday life, so far in the past, they've forgotten about them. They're comfortable. They're worried about themselves. It's not a major pain point again. The money is a major pain point. And so I do think that, and obviously the threat of World War III could definitely scare people, but the money, being spent elsewhere, basically we're giving money to Ukraine, a country that probably could never win on its own without all of our money. And when we turn it off, it's going to go right back. Like Russia has obviously more resources, more, money and power and size and everything that they have. So we're basically, funding them for as long as we choose to. And then when we stop or things have to escalate, I mean, that's just the way that it goes. So I think if people can understand that and that, the money issue involved and the threat of World War III, I think that would be what would bring them towards understanding, like being more anti-war. The way that it's at right now, like people just want to pick like a winning side. I like Russia better. I like Ukraine better. Well, do you realize what the reality of this is? Like you have to, explain it to them in those terms, I would think, for them to maybe understand why it's making things cost more, why it's putting us at risk. But
but it's the money going out that we keep spending. People keep getting upset that you should be spending it on us. And it's a valid point, right? We could pay off some debt, we could make a better environment, we could help people in other ways, or we could just keep finding money to send to our military industrial complex. It's crazy. They keep doing it. Let me grab one. Patty says, if a neo-Nazi is coming to save me, I will go with them in a life-saving situation, but will be scared to get in the elevator alone with them. Truth is strange. And I think this is your point, Kaleena. She's saying, if I think the world's ending, I would take a neo-Nazi to save my life, right? If I'm drowning and someone puts their hand out to pull me out of the water, I don't care if he's a neo-Nazi. I don't care if he's a Klan member. I don't care if he's my brother. You're going to save my life. I'm going to say yes and thank you, right? I mean, I think that's what she's saying. And I think as long as we keep feeling like the world's ending and we keep feeling like we're drowning and we're dying, we'll take anything.
You mean as far as like continuing down the path that we're on, or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? If we always feel like we're drowning, the strong man, the whomever comes out, hey, you're going to save me. I'll take it, right? I'm going to die without it.
Yeah.
So I don't care who you are. Wear the armband. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to die, right? I don't care. But I mean, if I'm, yes.
Oh, I was going to say that's definitely the game that they play every single election. Like you're saying, they basically are like, the world's going to end and the worst things ever are going to happen to you if you let the blue guy lose or you let the red guy lose. And if you vote for the yellow person, for, the gold, I'm sorry. If you vote for a third party, you're going to ruin everything. The worst things ever are going to happen to you because the person that you don't want to win is going to win. And that's where I think like people have to break that psychological cycle, and we have to help them to understand that, both of those options are definitely going to end up in the same exact thing. Like you're not actually, making a different choice in that. But I think that people get their emotions played on, kind of like you're saying.
Absolutely. Let me touch base if I could, guys. If anyone's watching right now, and you happen to be watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube page, you're watching on YouTube, you can use super chats if you want to get your comment to the front. Feel free to super chat if you want to. You'll get your comment to the front. I got a lot of comments coming. I'm trying to grab some of them as best I can. Super chats go right to the front. And they support the show. So if you want to support the show, you can do that. Please do that. It'd be awesome. Also, don't forget to click that like button. Click that like button if you haven't already. I don't know what's wrong with you. You got a broken finger or something? Use your nose. I don't care. Click that like button. It does matter. Every like does matter. Please click it. It is important. And please follow the people who've given us some time this evening. Please go over to Twitter, see what they're doing. Check them out. Rick D. Harrington on Twitter, the Lou Perez on Twitter, and that THT, that Liberty Chick on Twitter. So make sure I'm covering everybody if we could. So I want to move, if I could, to something else, which is the Fed and cryptocurrency. A lot of people, because you brought up Kaleena, giving out money. You're right. So a lot of people saying, you know what, money's going to fall apart. It's all going to collapse. Got to go cryptocurrency, blah, blah, blah. Then FTX happens, right? Then Mr. Fried, that's his name, Bankman-Fried, that guy all of a sudden, that happens. Now everyone's like, wait a minute, is this crypto thing good? Is this bad? Are we libertarians working or not? If you've watched my channels, I'm going out of my way to support crypto. I'm bringing a lot of crypto people on. I've had conversations with crypto people. I still think crypto is a good answer. I love blockchain. But are we taking advantage of this, or is this hurting? Is this making the liberty movement stronger, not stronger, whatever? I mean, Ricky, you are literally a CEO of a crypto company. Tell me, what do you think? Is this helping or not helping?
Well, it is an untapped resource. And I say this because, if you hang out with a lot of crypto people, they are libertarians. They may not, deal with the party or anything, but they are libertarians. And I want to say this. I am the CEO of Poodle Token, and you can visit that website, POODL Token, TOKEN.com. We're trying to build utility. Mm-hmm. And, there's so many different ways this technology can benefit people and can benefit, new businesses that are starting up. There's one thing that we're working on at Poodle. It's called Poodle for Business. And we're offering a service. Let's say you're engaged in e-commerce. Well, we'd like to help you put a widget on your website to where if someone wants to buy something in crypto, they pay for it in whatever crypto you want, and you can have it deposited as, you can keep the token, or you can have it deposited as, dollars into your bank account. That's one of the services that Poodle is offering.
So have you seen with Poodle doing this? Have you seen, has your sales force, have they had to get any pushback from the FTX piece? Has your sales force been like, oh, no effect at all? Has it motivated people to try something new? Have they had to fight with people? How has it affected your sales?
Well, this is the thing. If crypto is going to succeed, we have to forget about the dollar.
Ooh, okay.
We have to forget
now that's
about
something
the
crazy.
dollar.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to forget about the fiat value of it. If you are a DeFi degenerate, if you're hard on crypto, then you are taking a look at that as money, as a means of exchanging goods and services.
If you're a crypto cuck and you allow other people to buy crypto,
That's it, yes.
and you just watch.
That's what it is, yes.
I'm just going to watch the Poodle.
I'm going to watch you buy that crypto. I'm going to watch you go to Poodle.
Yeah.
Do it. Go back to Poodle again. Get some more tokens. I'm just going to watch.
Yeah.
Kaleena, when he said that, though, you immediately reacted. Why?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of us don't really think of that, but I think about that with all kinds of stuff lately, like, even government systems and anything we don't like. It's like, can we just pivot off of this to something new? So it was like, for you to say that about the money, currency is not my strong suit. Like, I don't know that much about crypto or anything, but I have started to come to wonder, like, if there's a system that's not working, is the answer not to try to fix it, but just to try to like pivot in a way that you can kind of go a different direction? And so I was like, oh, that's cool, because I think about that with other stuff. That's not my area of expertise. But anything that the system where it's bloated, ineffective, we don't like it, it's, has a lot of trouble, there is always that option of, making something else popular and having people go that direction. So I like that a lot. I think it's a really good libertarian answer for our problem. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Lou, I mean, are you seeing in your world, are people using crypto? Is that a thing? I mean, I hear about crypto all the time, right? But the most popular crypto right now is still Bitcoin. That's still the number one. Everyone knows about Bitcoin, right? But I think people don't see Bitcoin, to your point, Ricky, they don't see Bitcoin as currency. They see it as an investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see it as money, right? Even though it can be money, obviously, but people see it as, I don't know. Look, Kaleena, you're saying you're not, especially in currency. Me either. My investment in cryptocurrency is buy Bitcoin and hold it. That's my entire plan. buy Bitcoin, hold on to it. So Lou, are you seeing people care about this as a thing, or are they just buying Bitcoin and holding?
Yeah, I think most of the people that I talk to about it, they're doing a similar thing that you do, Larry.
Yeah.
And I think what I've done as well. I think most people, whether it's small L or big L libertarian, you have a little bit of Bitcoin. It comes with the job. So I think like this idea of sort of like holding on, seeing what happens. I think it's similar in a way to gold. People aren't necessarily trading, gold and weighing it for, there's no like barter system where, gold is exchanged. It's like, hold this shit because things are going to get bad and you're going to want this. So I think it's a similar thing there. But then, I'm sure you probably have, plenty of viewers here who, may be paying for, rent in crypto and that sort of thing. And I think those are interesting stories.
Yeah. I'm not sure where this is going. My worry is the opposite, is that people get scared of crypto. Then the government says, don't worry, I'll save you, right? Because government always does that. I'll save you. I'll make this very special crypto dollar. So they do exactly the opposite of what you're saying, Ricky. They're not going to forget about a dollar. They're just going to make a new one. Yeah. That's it. So here's the new digital dollar. Just do this instead. And by the way, all those other digital coins, they're now counterfeiters.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They're now counterfeiters. So now we can punish them all. And then we become punishment cucks.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think the fears are, totally legitimate. You could just see how it worked in the real world. I mean, what was done to the protesters up in Canada, and and those dastardly villains who dared to even just donate money to their to their cause.
How dare they?
Yeah, how dare they? Dastardly cucks. They were being dastardly for somebody else. And the idea that that the government, at least in Canada, was able to freeze bank accounts. That's really really scary. Yes. So you have all of it. So you have a lot of, I think, hope for these future future currencies and forms of communication that are outside of government control. But yeah, we know that the government is going to find a way, because where there's a will, they will do it. So.
Yes. Let me grab a couple of comments if I could. Lars says, decentralized currency would not only free Americans, but it would free the world. A free world has less wars. Ooh, interesting idea. Would we, and I guess this is the other issue, right? Would we, if we had multiple decentralized currencies, would we just fall back into the one that we want? Like, would there become a Google, right? You can go to Bing if you want to. You're not going to Bing, but you could go to Bing if you want to. But everyone goes to Google, right? You can go to Yahoo, but you're going to Google. Are we going to wind up having that? Like, is whatever the coin is, hopefully Poodle token, that'd be great. Good luck, Ricky. Hope it's that. Does that become the token that we all use, and everything else is like, for the weirdos on the outside? Is that going to happen?
I see that there could always be a possibility of things. Things shouldn't be ruled out. But the nature, I focus on DeFi, decentralized finance, and there's a lot of projects out there, and there's a lot of chains. But the focus, the real focus and real utility is to where we don't have to use those centralized exchanges anymore, and we can use decentralized exchanges and swap, whatever token that you want, cross-chain swapping. And whenever we build the infrastructure, and they're working on it, it might be a bear market right now, but people that are really into crypto and building things, they are building a system right now where we can have a totally independent financial system, a concurrent running financial system. You got the traditional financial system and you got the crypto financial system. and things that are being built upon that. You know, the first thing people go to is, oh, money laundering, oh, criminals and stuff like that. Well, they use the dollar already right now. They use cash.
Already.
You know,
absolutely.
So
the number one currency used in the black market, the number one currency used in crime, the number one currency used in trafficking, dollar. Not even close. Not even close. 100%, the number one. Desiree says, the dollar is about done, in my opinion. It's like toilet paper. The Fed keeps printing it like no tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you what, Desiree, I'm running low on toilet paper, so if you want to send those dollars over.
Send them dollars over.
That's right.
Do people feel that? I mean, the reality of it is the dollar's worth something because we think it's worth something, right? That's why it's worth something. And I feel like we still think it's not toilet paper. We still think it's money, right?
What is that? The subjective theory of value?
100%. Well, I say all the time, right? When I'm doing my day job, which I hardly ever do anymore, I'm a trainer, corporate trainer. I do a lot of work on sales, marketing, branding, business consulting, all that kind of stuff. And when I tell everybody, pricing is based on only one thing. People are, nope, it's based on only one thing: perceived value. I'm sorry, perceived scarcity. Perceived scarcity. That's all that matters. It doesn't have to actually be scarce. People have to believe it's scarce. Perceived scarcity raises the price, right? So if I'm a personal trainer and someone believes that my personal training is the same as everybody else's, there is no perceived scarcity, my pricing will be low. If people believe that my training is special and not everyone has it, my pricing will be high. Even regardless of how good my training actually is, doesn't matter. It is the perception of scarcity that raises prices. So if we believe that the dollar is still powerful and strong and the only one and the only thing, the value goes up. My worry is if we start having all these other currencies, currency will not be perceived as scarce. So will the value go down?
It depends. It depends.
So maybe Desiree's right. It's garbage. Okay, Desiree, you're right. It's toilet paper. It's true. Michael White says about 16% of Americans have used crypto, but most report it as speculative instrument. The vast majority of the electorate are invested in and think that in dollar terms. I don't think expecting the population to forget the dollar is a reasonable expectation. It's likely more effective if we try to save their dollars. How do you do that? How do you save their dollars? I mean, to Desiree's point, it's already in trouble. Can we save the dollar? Is that even a thing? I feel like that's not even a thing. I don't know.
I think, I saw some video of, Hillary Clinton. She was pushing, the central bank digital currencies. Both parties are pushing a central bank digital currency. And I just stand against that completely. Too much centralization, too much access to, it's already there. They're already selling your information on how you spend your money for marketing purposes. But to have that power in government's hand is,
well,
a monster.
I glimpsed at one of the comments that wasn't brought up on the screen, but it had to do with regards to taxation and crypto. And it's one of these things, like crypto is really great if you're a person, if you're a person who lives around people like me, who I don't give a shit how much money you make. I don't care what you declare on your taxes, what you don't declare. I don't care if you're paying your taxes. You do you. That's fine. But there are a lot of revenge cucks out there who want people to pay their fair share. And God damn it, if you have your poodle, I think we need to know how much poodle you have, and the government needs to take the appropriate amount of poodle to make sure that this is a fair and equitable society that we are living in.
And here's what I'm also sure of is it's got to be a higher percentage of poodle that I'm paying. Whatever I'm paying is more than that. That's the fair share. The fair share is more than whatever I'm paying. That's the fair share.
You have billionaires paying, a very low percentage of poodle, while you have teachers and firemen and the old lady with dementia living down the block paying a larger percentage. It's all of that too. And it's like when you have that, that natural animosity from a big part of the populace calling for the government to, you got to get in here. We need 80,000 more IRS. We need IRS to know crypto. We need, who could slip into your computer or I don't know where you store crypto.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's going to be a problem.
Everybody's talking about paying their fair share until one day something magical happens to them. And now they got fat stacks in their bank account, and here comes the tax man. And now they want to talk about these taxes.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I do. I think that's always been an issue, right? You have the issue where I'm looking in someone else's pocket, right? So instead of me worrying about my own stuff, I'm worried, is Lou paying his taxes, right? Why am I worried if Lou's paying his taxes, right? Why am I in Lou's pocket? Right? I don't understand how that works, but I think you're right. A lot of people are concerned about someone else's pocket. It's very true. I want to, if I could bring up one thing, if I could, a minor thing, guys, hit that like button if you're watching and you're liking it. Please do that. It does matter. I'm asking you to go hit the like button if you can, if you haven't done it already, to make sure people know we're doing this. If you've been watching this on Twitter, please retweet this. Make sure people see it and they know. And if you would, support my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Take one of their tests, take one of their surveys. It takes a couple minutes. It's free. You do that. It supports this channel. It supports shows like this, and it's free. Share it out there. They're happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. Go visit theadvocates.org. Take one of their surveys or one of their tests and share the results. The reason why I want you to share the results is you will have a conversation. If you've seen it pop up on my social media when someone takes a test and they share it, all of a sudden, what do you see? Boom, boom, boom. Comment, 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 comment. People talk about it. They take the test themselves. They start thinking about things. We are not going to be able to grow this movement or grow the party if we don't have good conversations. That's the critical piece. We have to have tons of conversations. You can help by going to theadvocates.org, taking one of those surveys, and then sharing it. And last, as you hear me say a couple times already, I'm going to keep saying it. Please support the people here. Follow them on Twitter. Follow Rick D. Harrington on Twitter. The Lou Perez on Twitter, and that THT, that Liberty Chick on Twitter. Please do that. It helps tremendously. So if I could, Roger says, hold on. Larry, did you say 6.5 million registered Democrat New Yorkers, 2.75 registered GOP? I thought it was 2.8, but I think that's close. And 3.5 independent. It's about that. Yes, that's about what it is. It's almost 3-1 Democrat to Republican in New York State. It soon will be, because many of those Republicans who are registered are actually now currently living in Florida and or Tennessee and Texas, and they will be changing their registrations this year. So a bunch of those, at least of the 100,000, about 200,000 or 300,000, will be changing their registrations out of New York State into Florida. In just 1 month over the summer, over 6,000 people changed their license. In 1 month, 6,000 from New York to Florida, just Florida.
Wow.
200 a day. 200 a day. That's how fast I live in my state. So yes, and in New York City, it's not 3-1. New York City is 6-1, Democrat, Republican. In my own area where I live, for my state assembly, the Republicans haven't run a candidate in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
They haven't run a candidate. And the candidate they ran 10 years ago lost by 70 points. Not 17, 7-0. He lost 85-15. And then they haven't run a candidate before him 10 more years before that. So in the past 22 years, Republicans have run a candidate one time, and the one time he ran, he lost by 70 points. That's how blue my city is. Just in case you were concerned on how blue my city is. That's a very blue city. So yes. Anyway, I apologize. So let me see if I can grab a couple of these. Adam says, Ricky, let's make the world free, then we can debate economic systems. Well, there we go. I'm okay with that one too. I'm okay with that one too. Absolutely.
I don't know.
You're not the whole world.
Here first, and then
How about just, you know what? I'm okay with that. One state at a time, one state at a time, one country at a time. I'm okay. We'll take our
let's
time.
do Larry's neighborhood first.
There we go.
and then we'll move out.
Now we're talking. Look, to be forward, if you can get my neighborhood, you can get every neighborhood. AOC is my congressperson.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if you get my neighborhood, you got them all. Yes, absolutely. You get them all. Absolutely. No worries whatsoever. Sammy says the Fed and all central banks are a sham. Crypto is the way. No paymasters, no printing, more currency, just freedom to transact for the true worth of my labor value. No middlemen. I'm an artist. Wow. Wow. But then you're going to make bankers mad. What about the bankers? How are they going to buy their third homes? Oh, God.
Yeah, what about the artist bankers? Yeah.
God, Sammy, how selfish are you? Those bankers have to buy their third and fourth homes. And how they're going to buy them if you're taking away all their ways of making money off banking? Come on.
Yeah. If you're not keeping your money in their establishment.
Thank you. Come on now. And letting them turn it over 45 times and then get bailed out by the government when they screw it up. Come on. Stop being so selfish, people like you. Saying, God, tired of these people. So anyway, guys, is there anything that we should be chatting about before we wrap this up?
Well, I think the Scientific Libertarian 2.0 mentioned that tomorrow's Valentine's Day. It
is.
We haven't talked about love. And
you're right.
Yeah,
you are right. Let me bring that up for a minute. I know Ricky's going to jump on this. You open the door. He's going to give you some love. I know he will. Let me just be a little bit though, if I could. What I'm going to say about love. People need three things to be happy. They need to feel loved. They need to feel respected. And they need to have purpose. Mm-hmm. If those three things are true, generally speaking, you're happy. If you don't feel love or you don't feel respected and you don't have purpose, you will become self-destructive. That is simply human nature, right? If you don't feel loved, you don't feel respected, and you don't have purpose, you will become self-destructive. That is simply human nature. We should all be striving for all three of those. If you have only one of them, you have a tendency to become obsessed. If you only have one, if I only have respect, I become prideful. If I only have love, I become obsessive on that individual, that person. If I only have purpose, I lock things out and I go only for the purpose that I'm trying to go after and I forget everybody else, I screw everything else up. If I got two, I'm in a good spot to get a third. If I got all three, I will become complacent and I will lose one. Which is why people who are happy will always bounce between 2 and 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Because when you have 3, you become complacent and you lose one. So you always got to keep going for those things. So love is very important, Lou. I completely agree. It's one of 3. Go ahead, Ricky. Give us something good.
Oh, you know me. My goal in life is to love other people the way that God loves them. And I strive to do that. The people that have done terrible things, the people that do good things, love them all the same. And then hopefully in giving that, receive it as well. And for what we got going on right now in the country, I mean, there's people quick to do violence. People are quick to give an opinion, but they slow to give a helping hand. And I wish that we all, including myself, were quicker to give that helping hand rather than an opinion, because that opinion don't do nothing. Yeah. But whenever you stretch out your hand to lift somebody up, whenever they in that moment of need, who knows, that's going to come back around for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Do you want to bring up something on that, on love, Kaleena?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think if I'm going to talk about love, I'm going to talk about, like, obviously we are 4 people here that love this movement, love liberty, love what we're doing in different ways. And I think the whole party and the liberty movement in general is made up of a lot of people who show their love for liberty in, like, all kinds of different ways. And sometimes we fight with each other because we think we're doing it the right way. But I think that the one thing that would make stuff so much better is if we could like put down some of our pride in the situation and learn to just hear each other's opinions, even when you don't like them. You know, sometimes to me, the most loving thing, and that's where I'll just talk about this really quick. A lot of people think I'm just here to criticize the libertarian movement and criticize them and criticize what they're doing. My criticisms are very general to all of us. Like, why are we not being effective? Where are we going with this? Because I view love, like I'm thinking if you love something, you're going to tell the truth about it. Like you're going to be honest, you're going to be upfront, you're going to give the hard truth. Like, hey, I want us to win. I want us to prosper. I want our party to grow. I want the libertarian movement to grow. I want liberty to flourish among lots of people, not just people who right now think of themselves as libertarians. And so to me, the most loving thing sometimes you can do is just tell the truth about a situation or give those that, you know, basically the harsh reality. So that's how I show love. And I take criticism all day too. I think it's a good thing. We can all use a little bit of criticism. Obviously it feels nicer when it's packaged better. But I just, that's how I see it, things. That's how I see the world. Just for the reality that it is. I think there's a lot that we can do with this movement, and I really appreciated being a part of this panel tonight. So thank y'all so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you came. Lou, bring us home with something cool on love.
Yeah. So obviously, tomorrow, Valentine's Day, and if you have a favorite restaurant, you might find out that when you waited too long to make reservations, there's no room for you on Valentine's Day. But that same restaurant is going to be there on February 15th. And that, my friend, is when you get the reservation and you bring your lady there. So tomorrow I'm going to be celebrating Valentine's Day at home with my lady. And then Wednesday, we're going to go out for some post-Valentine's Day. So
there we go. You did it perfectly. I love that. Guys, I want to say thank you all who were watching. I appreciate you all the time that you gave me this evening. A long show. I appreciate it. Please follow these people on Twitter if you would. Rick D. Harrington, V. Lou Perez, and that THT Liberty Chick. Thank you all so much. I will see you all very soon.